Alright, so I got two things I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about Joe Biden saying that he's going to cure cancer. And I want to talk about Goodyear. First of all, I got new people in the comment section. Hello, new people. If you pester me enough, I will do your videos. Because, just get you shut up. But, I will say this. Be careful what you wish for. You're going to get it. New people, if you have not watched your orientation video, I would like to direct you to the main EgoCast page, where you will find new subscriber orientation. Right? It's the new commenters, the new faces I'm seeing. If you're planning on sticking around, please watch your orientation video so that you will understand what's going on here. Right? I tell people over and over again, if you come here with golden calves, I will piss on them sooner or later. And it will upset you. And you're going to have to deal with that shit, because everybody deals with it here. I upset a lot of people, pretty much everybody at one point or another. So, I'm like the country. You have to be able to look past my faults to see the greatness that kind of exists, maybe, sometimes. The only one is Christ. So, everybody was like, a couple of people in the comments, and a person who has been messaging me on Facebook has, and my phone has been kind enough to let me know, so I answer. That's kind of how that shit works, because I hate Twitter, and I hate Facebook, so I never fucking go on them anymore. And Twitter doesn't fucking tell me when people message me anymore. So I only know when I go on. I never go on because I never think to go on because I hate fucking Twitter. So I'm thinking about joining Parlay because it seems better and a new app might work on my phone and let me know when people are messaging me. So that is something I'm thinking about. So don't suggest it to me, I know. I'm thinking about it because I hate social media. We'll see. Anyways, so I've been hearing about Joe Biden talking about how he's going to cure cancer, and I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute, and I looked it up, and it's a year-old clip. So I'm like, how in the fuck did I miss Joe Biden saying that he's going to cure cancer? And then I'm looking at it, I watched the clip, and it's Joe Biden at some old people event where he's just trying to pump money out of old people. Give a fuck. And who believes this bullshit? And, you know, cancer is a thing in this country. And it's bad. And it's a thing in other countries. And it's bad. And, like, the only cure we have is to bring your body just as fucking close to death. And then hold it there for a really good long time. And then the cancer goes, well, our job is done. This person's dead now. And then it dies off. And then you go, okay, now we can try and bring you back to life. My mother had breast cancer, and I was actually living with them at the time that she was going through her chemotherapy and all that kind of stuff. And it was a very stressful time. My dad was still working, and I worked until 5 o'clock. My dad didn't get home until like 6 o'clock. So it takes a while for me to actually drive home. I get off work at 5 o'clock. I'm usually home by like 5:20, something like that. And so, you know, there's that 20-minute lag time. You know, there's that time where she's just alone. And, you know what I mean? Or it was like my dad went to work. It worked out some fucking way. And so, you know, it was very scary. My mom was talking a whole bunch of crazy shit. She still talks a whole bunch of crazy shit about it. She's like, I haven't gone for a breast exam in fucking months because of the whole coronavirus. And I'm like, well, And I'm like, well, go to your scheduled stuff. And she's like, I've been skipping them. I'm like, you've been skipping like you need to do that shit because you had breast cancer. Like, you should be doing that shit. You should be looking after yourself because if they can catch it early enough, you won't have to go through all that horse shit again. And she's like, I ain't gonna. If I get cancer again, fuck it. And I'm like, really? Like, all right, you know, like, because I saw what it did to her, and I strongly fought against it, and I you know, gave her a whole bunch of shit over it, but I can't force her to go to her fucking appointments. That's not my job. That's my dad's job. And my dad might be like, you know, she has a convincing fucking argument. I can't demand somebody go through that shit a second fucking time. I wouldn't want to go through it once. And I'm sitting here telling her I'm like fully like, you know, if I ever get lung cancer because of my... I ain't even gonna bother. I'll just go, like, cause fuck it, like, I don't want to go through that shit. I'll hang on for another 6 months or whatever it is, and then just all of a sudden up and die. That's how it happens when people just die of cancer. You got 2 months, and you hang around for 2 months, and then fucking dead. Like, you know, it just happens. You go really quick, and it's fucking done. And so, you know, cancer's a fucking thing, man. It sucks. And so everybody always says they're going to cure cancer. The amount of money that goes into cancer cure research is enough to fund most medium-sized countries. Breast cancers, testicular cancer, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, lung cancer, throat cancer, skin cancer, liver cancer, heart cancer, bone cancer, like... Everybody's got their cancer, and we all have 50 fucking thousand ribbons. And we do awareness shit all the fucking time for all manner of different stuff. And we're not figuring out how to deal with it. Because it's something that, it's part of the deterioration of your body. It's part of human nature. We want to try and cure the slow and eventual death. Like, your body deteriorates from the second you take your first gasp of clean hospital oxygen. Right? With whatever Mercer's floating around that shit. And I know Mercer is not airborne, fuck off. But, you know what I mean? Like, and so, it's a part of life. We all kind of got a little cancer in us. It's just, usually it's very benign. And not even worth thinking about, because it's fucking your body. It dies. Your body dies like right away. Before you start growing, you start dying, and you continue the progress of dying as you develop until the point when your development peaks, and then you just continue to die until you're dead. It's the way life works. If something doesn't get you before that, time just will. And we want to cure that. And fuck yeah, man. Like I said, I lived through that shit. It sucks. And what's really fucked up, my mom has breast cancer, and I'm living at home. I'm spending most of my time down in the basement. I did when I was a kid. Yeah, fuck you, I'm a stereotype. I don't give a shit. Not anymore, but I was back then. And, you know, I'm watching Archer, because it was a big thing back then. And Archer, in one season, got breast cancer. And I'm laughing my ass because it's a hysterical show, and like the shit doesn't bother me like that. Like when he came out and said I got breast cancer, I was like, that's exactly what I need to be able to kind of laugh this shit away a little bit and kind of get more into a centered, rational, less emotional frame of mind with shit, so that I can really wrap my mind around what's going on and kind of assimilate this as being a part of my life. It helped me a lot. But my mom did not like it. She didn't think it was funny. She had the breast cancer. And I'm like, and I wasn't like, Mom, come on, you gotta see this episode. I wasn't fucking with her about it. It was just, I'd be watching it. She'd come downstairs to do whatever, mom stuff. And I'd be watching it. And then she'd come in and see it, and there he is all hooked up to chemo, talking about how he's got breast cancer and doing spy shit. And she's like, he's got breast cancer? And I'm like, yeah. And she like sat down and watched a little bit. And she's like, I don't know if I just don't think that's funny. And I'm like, well, I understand. You know, I'm like, it's helping me kind of cope. So it's not the way that you're going to cope with this shit. And hey, I got you, you know. But it's making me more able to be there for you. So, some benefit. And I thought it was really fucking silly when Donald Trump, in the State of the Union address, said that we were going to come up with a cure for childhood cancer. And I was like, in that brief moment, he turned into every other politician in the world, because they all say that shit. They all say we're going to cure cancer. They all do. I'm sure I could dig up an Obama clip. I'm going to cure cancer. George Bush was going to cure cancer, and George Bush was going to cure cancer, and Bill Clinton was going to cure cancer. At some point, they all tell you they're going to cure cancer. You want to know why? Here's the reason why. Because on the possibility that someday we actually come up with a cure for cancer, then that president is going to go, I told you I was going to be the one that was going to give you a cure for cancer. Motherfucker, there you got it. What I said. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's going to be a mind-blowing fucking achievement to be able to claim. So why the fuck not just rattle off, we're going to cure cancer? And then when they go, wow, how are you going to cure cancer? We're going to pump millions of dollars into cancer research. How is that any different than what you already do? It is fucking not. But in the next 4 years, we're going to figure it out. I'm telling you, those guys are brilliant. It's a campaign promise, like any other campaign promise. And every time somebody trots out, I'm going to cure cancer, I go, ugh. And Donald Trump got his, I'm going to cure childhood cancer. And I went, dude. And then they sent me on my phone, because I get Donald Trump texting. Mike Pence has been texting me lately, and Laura Trump, and Trump Jr. has been texting me a lot, telling me that I needed to fucking pay up, man, because Dad needs the money. And and after the SOTU, they sent me to a survey. What did you think of the SOTU? And I was like, so I went to it, and I took the survey. And in the comment, you know, there's always one of those things at the bottom where it says you can leave your comment here. And I said it was awfully silly for you to, in that moment, become every other politician that has ever held political office. And you said, we're gonna cure cancer. And I said, not only that, but you said we're going to cure childhood cancer. It's a played out fucking line. It's silly horse shit. It's fluff nonsense. But sometimes people take that shit seriously. And you just, please don't ever do that kind of dumb nonsense again. If it happens, go great. Look what happened. What a great achievement for humanity. Good stuff. Glad it happened on my watch. Just because that's awesome. I got to be here, and I'm going to get to go experience this shit. I'm going to get to go meet and shake the hands of the first people that we're going to cure fucking cancer for. That's cool, just for me to be in this position. I wish everybody could be in this position. This is a momentous fucking occasion. But no, everybody wants to have their, I told you I'd do it. You didn't do shit. You did the same fucking thing they do every fucking year. Motherfucker. So, no, the doctors do that shit. The people that are actually in the labs doing the fucking work, they do that shit. They're the ones who do that shit. And thank God for them if they can ever figure it the fuck out. That's all you can really say, because it's like the coronavirus. We're not going to open the city back up until there's a cure. Motherfucker, it's a virus. There are no cures for viruses. Viruses are shit you just deal with until they go away. And hopefully you survive it. Bacteria, fungus, that kind of shit we can deal with. We got antibacterials, antifungals. We can knock that shit the fuck out. Viruses, we can reduce symptoms. We can inoculate you and hope that you just don't get some strain that is fucking wildly mutated that just sneaks through your guard. Like, but there ain't fuck all. There's no cure. We ain't getting a cure. And anybody that tells you I'm going to cure the common cold is the same thing as Joe Biden or Donald Trump or anybody else telling you I'm going to cure cancer. Because if it happens, they can go, ha ha, I said so. And that's it. So for those people that are bringing up, Joe Biden said that I'm going to cure cancer, who gives a shit? This is why it didn't hit my radar a year ago, because he was at a campaign thing. He was talking to a bunch of old people trying to get their money. What do you say to a large group of geriatrics if you want their money and their support? Let's see. What would be one of the big things that is affecting the elderly? Cancer. I'm going to cure cancer for you guys. How are you going to do it? I'm going to bend every effort I possibly can towards doing it until they figure it out. That's not a bad promise to make. Not one you're going to really be able to keep. But hey, throw it the fuck out there. Why not? It's gay. Donald Trump did it too. So I don't give a fuck. They all do. It's what makes them politicians. Promising you the world and giving you the same fucking shit you got the year before. That's what politicians excel at. So, alright, Joe Biden said he's going to cure cancer. Okay. They all say it. So, moving on. Goodyear. Now, for those of you who are double OG, now that we're getting new subscribers, COVID subscribers, or apocalypse subscribers, who fucking knows? Now that we're getting new subscribers, the double OG people, you probably remember that I've mentioned in the past that my father worked for Goodyear. So this shit comes out about Goodyear. And I saw the picture and I laughed because I'm like, that looks pretty fucking official to me. That doesn't look photoshopped. You know, that's a slide. And so I call my dad today. And I'm like, what's up, Dad? And he's like, what's going on? Because, you know, I'm just one of those type of people, like I'm in my own little world, pretty much 24/7. So I don't generally just randomly call people and be like, hey, how you doing? You know, and let's chat. You know, that's just not me. My brother, my sister, they call mom and dad all the time and just chat with them. I see them once a week, so I go, see you on Sunday. You know, but I call my dad, so he's thinking there's something going on because I only ever call them when I need them for something. What do you want from me? So, I call my dad and I'm like, did you hear about Goodyear? And he's like, because now he knows what this is. I'm interviewing him for the show. And he's like, yep, I heard about it. And I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, look, he's like, here's the thing. He's like, is it possible that that's legit? Yeah. He's like, I wouldn't put it past him. Is it possible that somebody grabbed a slide, made up their own slide, put that shit up there and took a picture of it just to fuck with the company? Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. He's like, I know the people that work there, I know the people that run the place, I know what the corporate people are like. And he said corporate would never, in a million years, as he put it, they would never touch a hot potato if it was tossed at him. And so he's like, no. He's like, corporate does not like political stuff. He's like, when I was working there, you couldn't wear anything with writing on it unless it was Goodyear. He's like, that was the only thing with writing on it that he's like, you had to wear plain shirts otherwise. Like, you couldn't, no. And he's like, they gave you shirts and the whole thing. And he's like, I had uniforms. I'm like, yeah, like you can't, no. They don't like that shit. They don't want people doing that shit. And I'm like, all right, so corporate wouldn't have been involved. He's like, yeah. He's like, but he's like, corporate's in corporate, and like corporate, that's like you think about McDonald's. What do you think their corporate office looks like? A really big McDonald's? No, it's a large business office. They're in a fucking McDonald's and they ain't flipping burgers anywhere in that joint. Maybe in a testing room or some shit like that. But no, it's an office. So Goodyear corporate is an office. They don't have plants in there. They have plants all over the fucking world, though. And every plant has a plant manager. And the plant manager runs the plant. So the plant manager could get anybody to do anything. He could have any sort of ideas on what needs to be the plant doctrine. So, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. I've worked in plants like that and had plant managers that fucking were just had the most ridiculous fucking shit that they allowed or enforced. And it was like, and it happens. So, yeah. And so I'm like, yeah, he's like, so I wouldn't put it past them that it could have happened legit. And he's like, but, and I kind of came up with a scenario where I'm like, I could totally see, somebody coming in wearing a MAGA hat, right? And they get pulled aside by somebody and say, you're not allowed to wear a MAGA hat, dude. No political slogans, right? And then later on in that day, they see someone wearing a Black Lives Matter mask. Well, a hat's one thing. In this time period, a hat is one thing. And a mask is something totally different. And they might have pulled that person aside when they came in and said, hey, you can't wear the Black Lives Matter mask, you got to wear a different mask. And maybe they said, well, I don't have another mask. And they said, well, just don't wear it ever again. Wear the damn mask today, but don't ever come back here with the Black Lives Matter mask again. Right? So now this dude's going to be walking around with Black Lives Matter mask all day long. So all the people that were told to take their hat off, that's one thing. But if you're going to have assholes wearing masks, unless you can go here, we're going to make you wear this shitty fucking surgical mask, put on your ears. If you don't do that, then they're walking around with a mask on all day. That says something. And then somebody gets pissed. Obviously, there's a double standard because he got to wear his mask and I had to take off my hat. Well, you never see him in that mask again, right? Because we told his ass, don't ever fucking come back in that mask again. Like we told you, you're not allowed to wear the hat. But because people aren't yelled at in front of everybody else so that everybody knows, I'm reprimanding this person for the conduct that he's doing. He's wearing a MAGA hat and I don't like that. And then this person over here is wearing a Black Lives Matter mask and we don't like that shit either. This guy's going to take off his mask. This guy's going to take off his hat. This dude's going to keep on his mask because we don't have any masks. So everybody just deal with the fact that for today, there's going to be technically a double standard. This guy's got to wear a mask. It's the only mask he's got. This dude doesn't need to wear a hat because it's a fucking hat. Thank you. Go back to work. So because that kind of shit doesn't fucking happen, we don't do public mass shaming in businesses because that's like a liability. So somebody might have been like, yeah, fuck this place, and then made up their own narrative, took a picture of it just to fuck with the company because they were pissed that day. I could see that totally happening too. But what the effect of it is, no matter what happened, because corporate came out and said, we don't condone that. Well, okay. Who did that then? You know what I mean? I understand the corporate office doesn't. I understand the owner of Goodyear doesn't like that shit because it's political. But what about the plant manager in that plant? Was he fine with it? Because what are you doing? What isn't that a problem with you guys? So, there becomes that sort of thing. And then the public decides we need to have the public show of shame. We fired that guy. Because fuck him, right? We need that so that we can feel good. And then that way, the boycott against Goodyear will dissipate. It'll go away. That's how that works. That's business. Somebody does something stupid, And then corporate goes, hey, why'd you do something stupid? Now we gotta fire you. And then they go, ugh. And then they come out and go, we fired him. And then everybody goes, phew, crisis averted. Until the next time when they have the same fucking diversity training, and you know what they do? They go, everybody has to leave their cell phone in their locker before they can come into the training room. And then we just never know about it again. Like it's the funny thing. The more you try, Grand Moff, the more you tighten your fists, the more star systems will slip through your grasp. The more you suppress people, the more underground you push it. That's why I suppress myself. I don't encourage you guys to pimp me or promote me or tell me about tell your friends all about me. No. Just keep this the underground thing. Keep it like the 80s. Like my one buddy, I went over to his place and we were hanging out, and he's like, you gotta hear this band. And he sneaks into his brother's room, gets this tape, and he plays for me Primus. And I was like, this is great, this is really good shit. And he's like, don't ever tell anybody about this band. He's like, don't ever tell anybody about this band. And I'm like, why? He's like, it's my brother's band, and he doesn't like that. And I'm like, this is your brother's band? And he goes, well, no, like he's a fan of the band. And they're like underground, so it's cool. And he doesn't want them to get really popular and mainstream because then they'll suck. And I'm like, okay. You know, I was like, whatever. I don't really understand any of the words you just said to me, but okay, I was a kid back then. I didn't fucking know that shit. So I'm like, well, okay. And so I never told anybody about Primus. And then people start telling me about Primus. And I'm like, dude, I've been listening to Primus for years. Because I had been. Because this dude, and I wasn't allowed to tell anybody about him. Keep me like that, man. You're not allowed to tell people. First rule of EgoCast is you don't talk about EgoCast. Don't tell anybody about me. Because the more people you tell, the faster I'm going to be gone. So we got to keep a low profile. We got to keep this just amongst ourselves. Share, you know, you can watch videos. Hey, come over and watch this dude's channel. Don't subscribe to him. Just come over and I'll show you his videos. Do that kind of shit. Just educate people. Don't let them learn too much. Don't make me famous, because I'll go away like that. I'm too arrogant and I don't give a fuck enough. And I've got nothing to lose, so my power is ultimate. I don't care. If you want to see real entertainment, if you want to see a really bright flare that will go out really fucking fast, make me famous. I'll be on Tucker. It'll be like 1 or 2 appearances. He'll love having me on, but then I'll become so toxic and untouchable, nobody will be able to have me on. And it will happen like that. In the first question, I will fucking be like, and just fucking ramble on with some nonsense, and it'll be hysterical, but it's gonna be bad overall. When I'm ready to retire, then Operation Going Out Burning will take into effect, and will get me up to a couple million subscribers. I'll fuck up real big. It'll all go away, and then that'll be it. That'll be my retirement. Then I'll write a book, the slow rise and quick fall of the EgoCast, and then everybody can read all of my memoirs about what it was like to be a fucking YouTuber during the Donald Trump era. Starting at the very beginning, and then ending whatever the fuck it ends. God, that'd be fucking great, wouldn't it? That's a damn good thought. Alright, so, anyways, now that we're done planning my future. But yeah, I believe that it's possible that corporate would have never fucking allowed this shit if they knew about it. I believe that it's possible that some shithead fucking plant manager thought this was appropriate. And I also believe it's possible that some employee made up their own slide just to fuck her with the company for, you know, just whatever fucking slight. Maybe they yelled at him because they took too long of lunch. Who fucking knows, man? Work in a factory. I'm serious. I think everybody in their life should work in a factory for at least 1 year. Take a year off from whatever your career is and work in a factory for a year. Just go to your boss and be like, look, I need to do this for just spiritual growth. Give it 1 year. Do the job. And you will meet the largest assortment of every human being you will ever meet in your life that you can imagine. Because every human being that you will ever meet in your life will remind you of somebody that you know from that year of working in a factory. I guarantee it. And you will meet some fucking characters, man. Some people that are just goddamn out there. And it'll change your whole perspective on fucking life. It'll really make you think about a lot of shit. So, yeah. Anyways. I don't even know how the fuck I got there, but... Oh, yeah. I could see a plant manager doing that shit. I could see an employee doing that shit. I could see corporate not allowing that shit. So, I don't know. They're going to have to do an investigation of some sort or another. But, nevertheless, if the shithead plant manager did it, then that's inappropriate. If the company decides it's so inappropriate that man needs to lose his job, well, then that man learns a valuable life lesson. And he will go with that lesson forth in life, and he will either learn from it and be wiser in his next position, or he will not learn from it and do the same fucking thing and most likely get fired again. Right? And yeah, there you fucking go. Like that's kind of my thoughts on the Goodyear thing. I just think it's funny because my dad, Goodyear, anytime Goodyear's in the news, my ears immediately perk up because Goodyear was a part of my life for about the entirety of my life. Like, that was always a fucking thing. My dad worked at Goodyear. So, you know, like, we would always go to these Goodyear events. You know, they would take us to amusement parks and shit like that. And, you know, like, that was the summer picnic at Goodyear. You'd go to the fucking local amusement park. And you'd ride roller coasters and, you know, it'd be a fucking day up there. And then you'd always have to go and sit and have the picnic and listen to the bosses talk about what we're doing this year. And you guys are doing a great job. And, you know, all that kind of nonsensical shit. You had to sit through that stuff. But then you got to go fucking ride rides, you know. It was great. So, yeah, Goodyear was a huge part of my life. Anytime they're in the news, I'm like, huh. And then I call my dad and go, what do you think about Goodyear? But he's been retired now for years, so... But, yeah, my dad was... Here's how high up my dad was in Goodyear. In his local plant, like, he was a guy that was important enough that when he retired, they begged him not to retire. So he kept working, and then when he retired, they begged him not to retire. And he said, look, I'm retiring. And they said, well, how about if you're a private contractor? And he went, all right. So they made him a private contractor, and he continued to work for Goodyear. And then when he retired, they begged him not to retire. And they still, to this day, call my dad periodically for shit. Years after he's retired. So that's how important he was to Goodyear. And that is, you know, kind of my upbringing. So, yeah, I kind of wanted to do the Goodyear video just because dear old dad watches my videos and I think he'd get a kick out of it. And, yeah. So, yeah, there you go. This is my video for today. I hope you enjoyed.